Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. Today we're taking a really fascinating look at how ancient military principles, specifically from Sun Tzu's classic text, The Art of War, can actually be applied directly to modern business management. This isn't just some dusty history lesson. It's a highly practical, high-stakes playbook for today's boardroom. Right off the bat, to really grasp Sun Tzu's methods, you have to understand the absolute life-or-death stakes he was operating under. So, legend has it, the king of Wu asks Sun Tzu to literally prove his military theories. The king asks, can your test be applied to women? Sun Tzu says yes, and he's handed 180 palace ladies, led by the king's two absolute favorite concubines. He gives them incredibly simple orders, just to face right and left, while the ladies just giggled. Sun Tzu stays totally calm and states, if words of command are not clear and distinct, the general is to blame. So he takes the blame. He explains the orders again, the drums roll, he gives the command, and again, they just burst into fits of laughter. And that brings us to the ultimate, brutal consequence, step 6. Sun Tzu declares that since his orders were not perfectly clear and still disobeyed, it was the fault of the officers. To the king's absolute horror, he has the two favorite concubines executed right on the spot. And after that, while the remaining ladies followed every single command with terrified, absolute precision. Let's move to and see how this builds into our roadmap for today. We'll start by unpacking that concubine drill, lay the strategic foundation, look at how to fix failing projects, walk through 5 steps to discipline, identify organizational weaknesses, and finally how to execute to win the market. All right, section 1, the concubine drill, communication and accountability. So what does this all mean for us? To extract the core principle of extreme accountability from this crazy story, look at the intense level of ownership Sun Tzu demands from leadership. Think about modern failing projects in the corporate world. How often is failure just brushed off with murky, ambiguous excuses? Sun Tzu drew a hard line in the sand. If the team doesn't understand the goal, the leader has failed. Full stop. But, and this is a big but, once the leader has ensured absolute clarity, just like Sun Tzu did by meticulously repeating the instructions, the burden shifts completely to the team leaders to execute. In business, if you haven't been crystal clear about your expectations, you simply cannot penalize your team for missing the mark. And this brings us to a really fascinating point about organizational boundaries. When the king realized his favorites were about to be executed, he sent a frantic message down to stop the whole thing. Sun Tzu's response? It was absolute. He essentially told the king, who is, the ultimate CEO here, you put me in charge of the operation. Therefore, I cannot accept interference that compromises the mission. Bam. He established ultimate organizational authority right then and there. As a leader, you absolutely have to be willing to defend your operational process, even if it means firmly pushing back against the very people who hired you. So I really want to challenge you with this question. Think about your own current management style. When a project goes completely off the rails, where do you point the finger? Are your instructions truly clear, or are you just blaming your team for your own lack of clarity? Taking real ownership of your communication failures, that is the essential first step to establishing any kind of real discipline. Moving on to section 2, laying the strategic foundation, bridging the eras. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can shift from these visceral anecdotes to macro strategy. We have to establish that your company is the army and the market is the battlefield. We can literally map Sun Tzu's 5 constant factors directly to their modern corporate equivalents. He taught that every war is governed by these 5 things. First, moral law. That's your company culture. Do your people believe in the mission enough to follow you, regardless of the danger? Then there's heaven, which represents market timing and economic trends, those massive external forces you can't control but absolutely must anticipate. Earth is the industry landscape and your direct competitors. The commander is your leadership and management capability. And finally, discipline. That's your operations, your budget, your day-to-day efficiency. If you aren't constantly measuring your company against all 5 of these factors, your strategic foundation is, frankly, incredibly vulnerable. Okay, section 3, fixing failing projects, the causes of defeat. Sun Tzu had some profound insights into how leaders accidentally sabotage their own teams and cause projects to fail. He lists 3 specific ways a leader brings misfortune. First up, commanding actions while ignorant of local conditions. In modern business, that's like a CEO dictating software code architecture without ever speaking to an end user. Sun Tzu literally calls this hobbling the army. Second, governing an army exactly like a kingdom. Think about it. You cannot run a fast-paced, 2-week agile sprint with the same rigid 6-month review bureaucracy we use for corporate HR. It causes restlessness and completely kills momentum. Third, employing officers without discrimination. This is just poor talent placement. It's putting the wrong person in charge of a vital task. As the text notes, an able leader uses the wise, the brave, and the covetous exactly where their specific traits are needed. Doing otherwise, it shakes the confidence of the entire team.
Section 4. 5 steps to discipline military method.
To build a concrete, systematic process for operational discipline, Sun Tzu outlines a really rigorous 5-step method. First, measurement, surveying your market ground. Second, estimation of quantity, accurately sizing up your competitors and their resources. Third, calculation, running your own internal numbers and capabilities. Fourth, balancing of chances, objectively comparing your odds against the competition. And fifth, victory. The most vital takeaway here is that victory isn't about just fighting the hardest on the day. No way. Victory is the inevitable mathematical result of executing the first 4 steps of disciplined calculation before the action even begins. And this brilliantly illustrates a really common modern misconception. True operational efficiency isn't just about demanding a team work 80 hours a week. Sun Tzu defines method and discipline structurally. It is the marshaling of the army into proper subdivisions and the strict control of expenditure. Listen, if your organizational chart is a chaotic mess and your budget is just bleeding cash, you don't have a motivation problem. Actually, you have a fundamental structural failure that has to be fixed first. Section 5. Identifying organizational weakness. Diagnosis. To diagnose failure and pivot to finding weak points in the market, we really need to understand Sun Tzu's core tactical duality, direct versus indirect tactics. Direct methods are straightforward, right? You meet the enemy head-on. In business, this is engaging in a brutal price war, or directly copying a massive competitor's mean feature. It gets you into the fight, sure, but it is bloody. Indirect tactics, however, things like innovation, unpredictability, targeting an unserved niche, those are what you need to actually secure victory. You can diagnose a failing business strategy really quickly by looking to see if leadership is relying entirely on obvious frontal competition where they are practically guaranteed to be outspent. To truly exploit the market, Sun Tzu says military tactics should be like water. Water naturally shapes its course by flowing away from high places and hastening downwards. It avoids what is strong and strikes at what is weak. You need to emerge from the void, appear where you're entirely unexpected, and attack undefended niches where established market giants just lack the capacity or agility to respond. Don't fight them where they're strong. Flow like water into the highly profitable, completely undefended spaces. All right, our final section. Section 6. Winning the modern market. Executing the strategy. So the crucial point is that synthesizing all these ancient lessons to outmaneuver the competition really comes down to one absolute number, 100. Sun Tzu famously wrote, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, well, for every victory you gain, you'll also suffer a defeat. But if you're ignorant of both your own internal capabilities and the external market realities, you are guaranteed to succumb in every single battle." Honestly, this might be the single most important lesson for a modern manager to absorb. The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat. You do that by looking inward first. Secure your own operations, demand clear communication, enforce absolute accountability, and strictly control your cash flow. Basically, you make your company operationally bulletproof. Only then do you look outward, waiting patiently for the competitor to make a misstep that presents you with the perfect opportunity to defeat them. I'm going to leave you with this provocative final thought. Look at your team, look at your current projects, and your overall strategy. Are you truly preparing your army for victory before the battle even begins? Or are you just rushing headlong into the market, hoping brute force is somehow going to save you? I challenge you to apply these ancient principles of clarity, calculation, and discipline to your desk tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.